Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. It's an honor to be on this subcommittee. I have been listening to your testimony with great interest. It's been fascinating to me. The U.S.-Turkey relationship is complex and sometimes challenging, as you have well educated us here today. Turkey has continued to engage with Hamas, which has fueled a heartbreaking conflict in the Middle East that many of my constituents keenly feel. But even Turkey consistently rejects Russia's claim over Ukraine and joined the free world in voting for the United Nations resolution in opposite of the U.S. vote, where we, unfortunately and tragically, cast our vote to align with Russia and North Korea. Two dictatorships that represent the opposite of our values, and voting against our allies and voting against peace in the region. So my question is, does this sort of give permission, this signal by the United States to align with Russia and China and North Korea, does that give permission for Turkey to do the same?
Yeah, I think you're making a very important point here, and I think it points to the larger geostrategic dilemmas that we're facing as part of this discussion. Because as we've all discussed here today, Turkey is a very problematic ally, and yet, on the one hand, it supports Hamas. Its actions oftentimes go against our values. And yet, when we think about the bigger geopolitical picture, as you brought up Ukraine right now, we have to think about how do we navigate? What's the way forward? How do we go forward from here? And I think, well, first, if I may go back to the earlier part of our discussion with Turkey, Representative Kim's comment, the problem is Turkey's actions Turkey does not align with our values. And so what we need to, when we think about the way forward in our relationship with Turkey, is looking towards interests rather than values, and that's a very different way of looking at this issue, because we tend to, when we think about the NATO alliance, we certainly think of a values-based alliance.
You know, many of you all testified that, well, I love your analysis, sort of the good, the bad, and the complicated. On the one hand, we really much need Turkey. We need their policing in the Black Sea. We need the openness that provides to the region. We need so much from them. But they're acting very bad, you know, like a very bad child. And, you know, if you had to say which interest is more important to the United States, if you have to pick a policy path, is it more important to rein in their bad behavior? Or is it more important to keep them wanting to be on our side?
So a global superpower, the United States, most powerful country in the world, doesn't have to choose. We have influence. We can work with not just Turkey, but other countries with who we can solve problems and advance American interests, but we can also hold them to account. And for example, I fully support and believe it was a constructive move for Congress to include Turkey under the CATSA sanctions, precisely because by buying the S-400 system, Turkey was putting U.S. pilots and NATO pilots at risk.
Right. So we need to step up our game, I think. It seems like the diplomacy in this country needs to be elevated to a high level, and to make sure that we rein in their bad behavior. It's what's really sounding like their interaction with Hamas, their interactions with terrorist groups, their support, their running to Russia and China are all such things that should be very, very concerning to the United States. It needs to be a top focus of our interactions with them. Is that fair?
Well, I think that's fair, and I would add to that, Turkey is certainly not choosing. Turkey is making it very clear in its behavior that they don't want to choose. All of its actions after Russia's invasion of Ukraine show that they, on the one hand, were certainly supportive of Ukrainian territorial integrity, but they also continue to do business with Russia. As we discussed, Turkey is talking about joining the BRICS. So if Turkey is not willing to choose, we as a superpower certainly don't have to choose, and we can balance, and in fact, it is the prerogative of a superpower to be able to focus on more than one priority at a time.
I'll only add one thing here. We're entering into an era of great power competition. We hear this all the time. We're going to have to deal with China. We're going to have to deal with Russia. We've got great challenges on the horizon. We need reliable allies, period. We need to make demands of our allies. And by the way, Turkey's not alone. You've got countries like Qatar that are supporting Hamas. You've got countries like Oman that are supporting the Houthis. None of this should be allowed to continue under an alliance structure that demands discipline. That's what I think we need to start to see out of our diplomats, out of our State Department, out of our White House. I think this has gone on for too long.
The gentlelady.
Thank you all so very much.